Hola, ballers and a brofist to you all! We're here, we're back, we're shining, we're bright. You know why, don't you? Because we're back in the UK, and finally it's revealed why I was in Team USA. If you haven't caught it, I was part of the team that got to do the first ever public, closed public testing of WoW's new housing feature, and it's pretty amazing. You can check our main channel for our video on that, and also the TDP for a lot of Q&A, which people had for me after I got back. It was amazing. And on top of that, it is also Display's big birthday. So if you're looking to get a Display, it's a great time. Biggest discounts they do. It's their anniversary, and they're doing huge discounts for, I think, a week, something like that. So go and check those out for whatever you're into, because there's loads and loads of them. We're big fans of Display, as you can see behind me. We've worked with them for a long time, but big anniversary deal on. But it's not why I'm here right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's Friday. It's time for some stories that you can send to drama@preachgaming.com. for weird and wonderful things. And last week, it was edging more towards the weird than it did the wonderful. It got very, very strange. Interesting feedback from the weird and wonderful world, where we vicariously delved into the world of ERP one more time. One more time. Let me get my keyboard. There we go. Oh, I dropped it. Oh, son of a bitch. I didn't break anything. The stream's still on. Yay! Good shit. The stream's still on. I'll take that as a big W. Where's me gavel? I can't go without me gavel. There she blows. Hello, sir. There's the gavel. Glorious things. The hell did you miss last week? That's on you to find out. That's on you to find out. This week, we're getting a little more... a journey of perseverance. Oh, I like that. The trials and tribulations of perseverance. I like the sound of that. Because there's nothing worse than an Oathbreaker. An Oathbreaker. Splendid. We stick to our oaths around here, don't we? We really do. We stick to our oaths. We'll go with Oathbreakers. My gut feeling is a cesspool guild that gave nothing and wanted everything in demand. Oh, we've got some requests from our live audience here. We need 2 guild names. Now, wait before you start. Let me put our wonderful names in here. Of course, you can have your name in Drama Time. It's website supporters. Altered Carbon. Good show. Season 1, anyway. Oh no. Oh, somebody's in for it. Shoujo's in. Oh, Bexy, what have you done to our show? And Dr. Zenny. Alright, I'm looking for 2 guild names. One guild is a shitter guild. And our second guild is actually organized good players. So that's what we need. Okay, the Legless. Yes, that will fit our Deus Ex playthrough we're currently doing on the stream. What's our good team called? Expedition 33. Okay. As a reminder for our live audience who doesn't get to make it for our day-to-day streams and tunes in before or after work, can I give some big love, actually, to Team USA? It only was made apparent to me very recently how many of you wake up before work on a Friday to tune into Drama Time before you get started with work. I hope you have a wonderful day. I really genuinely do. So, cheers to you guys. Big cheers to you guys. But currently, my audience is in charge of when we'll play Expedition 33. At this point, they have managed to make it so it's nearly 16 years until I'm able to play Expedition 33. A hell of a war is breaking out there. Alright, we've got our names. Yes, I've got my guild names. Perfect. I am all ready to have some fun with you guys. Mike, before I begin this story, we're going to be using a word that you've probably never heard of before. Shemozzle. S-H-E-M-O-Z-Z-L-E. Is that she-mozzle or shemozzle? I can't tell if it's like a gendered thing or like a Jewish thing. Shemozzle. Shemozzle. This means a state of chaos and confusion or a muddle. Shemozzle. Yeah, you're right. I've never heard it, but that's what it means. A state of chaos and confusion or a muddle. So, for example, your streams are a schmozzle. That's one way of putting it, I suppose. Sure. Maybe I'm the schmozzler. Maybe I'm the schmozzler. You think it's Yiddish? I don't know. Let's see where it comes from. Hello, 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 Preacher, Bex, and the wise and all-knowing powers that is the jury, aka the live audience. Hello, my friends. You are ever wise and all-knowing. That's who you are, ladies and gentlemen. Ever wise and all-knowing. Do you feel your taint being licked? Do you? Do you feel the sniff at your toes? I bow down before you, live chat. Please don't judge me too harshly. I do wonder. I was the first person to ever submit drama stories. The first 3 or 4 episodes were actually stories about me. But it was the early days. I do wonder now when people submit their stories to us, if they wait with bated breath to see our relatively unbiased audience who is just drinking in the information as it happens responds to their storytelling, and do they just pay close attention to what are you guys thinking about what's happening here? Do you agree, disagree, and so on and so forth? There must be a big part of it. I've only had people a couple of times contact Bex to say, like, I can't believe you agree with the other side, but I mean, it's based on your information, sir. Mikey, this is my first time ever writing into drama, and today I want to bring you a tale that we all know so well. One of groups forming, mistrust and disbanding. I'm fairly new to Drama Time, and I had it introduced to me by my older brother, Datoshi. Hello, Datoshi. A few months ago. Little did he know that he would end up being one of the main characters of my drama story. Get fucked, Datoshi. You walked right into that one, noob. Absolutely fucking stomped into it. I like it. I really hope you enjoy this tale, and forgive me, as I quite enjoyed my storytelling IRL, and I'll do my best to captivate and rivet you all with what I have to say. We've got quite the author on our hands here. I assume Bex had an easier time than ever, just doing a little formatting. And have no fears if you're not a native English speaker or you don't think you're a very good orator or whatever. It doesn't matter. Our Bex is a actual qualified in the language and can do some formatting for you to make it as easy as possible for me, because I can't read and I manage to get through Drama Time every week. All good, friends. Mikey, I want to tell you I spent most of my teenage and continued adult years playing video games obsessively. My man. And as I'm now 34 years old and I've got a couple of sprouts, I find that if I have any true obsession, that it will take the form of MMOs. It is kind of the resurgence of MMOs, certainly over the next couple of years. It's going to be a wacky time for MMOs. As I am now considered ancient as far as gamers go, I do not fare so well with any form of PvP gameplay, as these old boomer hands and my addled mind are far too slow to keep up with those TikTok FPSs. Yeah. I mean, MMOs aren't too bad, right? There's a nice gap in there. Myself and the other main character in this story, my brother Datoshi, both grew up in a land far, far away from yours, where the sun shines most of the time. The people are great. Can I just point out to anyone writing into drama, we do love guessing where you're from a description. So this is what we've got this week. The sun shines most of the time. The people are great. The food is delicious. And the views are stunning. And we are best known for our exemplary rugby team. And insanely, incredibly high levels of crime. Any guesses? New Zealand from the rugby team would not be a far shout, but it is incorrect. It is not New Zealand. Oh, Celtic Knight! High fives! For anyone who has correctly guessed it, you are right. We are hailing from South Africa. South Africa. I've never had cause to go to South Africa. I would like to see it. About 8 years ago for me, and 7 for my brother Datoshi, we have relocated to a now cold, damp, grey, flavourless part of the world. Yes, Mike, we have moved to your home, the UK. I will say that the crime is far, far lower. Shouts. The internet quality is much, much higher. And arguably, the food is actually on par. See? Told you. Both are way more suitable for our current story. Let's go on a journey back in time. I want to take you guys to when I was merely 11 years old. The year was 2002, and the following took place. Look how mad the chat is, because you can't accept that UK food is fucking good. Our food is awesome, man. Our food is legit good, so get wrecked. Mikey, I've always had a fondness for MMOs, as I'm sure many in your audience have. Yeah, true. You'd be amazed how many of our lovely live audience, maybe not here, certainly in recent years, but I've only ever played an MMO. That's it. It's our only game. And my first introduction to the genre was actually Dark Age of Camelot. Shoutouts to the old school. As this was many years ago, and my memory of this is a little hazy because I was a little boy, but what I do remember is my brother Datoshi having enough money to buy the game and show me what it was like to join other people on the internet. Go on adventures, killing mythical creatures and raiding dungeons and the like. As Datoshi is older than me, he was always the one to introduce me to his latest hobbies, and PC gaming ended up being the one that we've still not been able to give up to this very, very day. Neither should you. It's a nice, relaxing form. You could be out getting sloshed with the boys every weekend. That's more fun, right? But let's fast forward a few years. He had quickly, of course, discovered the world of Azeroth. I believe that was around the time Wrath of the Lich King was out, where I would watch him play the game and be in utter awe of what I was witnessing. Having grown up in South Africa, and now in the UK, it was pretty common for us to go without luxuries such as 2 PCs. Or even internet that was not dial-up. Shoutouts to the dial-up. This meant that we would either have to play games requiring each of us to use different sections of the keyboard. Oh my god! How many of you have done that? Where co-op was done with each of you having a half of the keyboard. That is a fucking... Yeah, that's old school. That is truly old school, is doing that kind of shit. Yeah, that is old school shit. Good fun, though. I mean, I always liked it. You're like, fucking get over there. Fuck off. Or more often than not, me just watching him play games. I recall him allowing me to make a character on WoW, and thinking that by me hitting the level cap that I had finished the game. Unbeknownst to me, of course, that is only the beginning. Aside from making that troll rogue on his account all those years ago, hitting what I believe was level 70, queuing for a few battlegrounds and not knowing that dungeons or raids even existed, my time with WoW came to a swift and complete end. It must have been that he decided not to continue his sub or something along those lines, but it was over. Neither of us knew that this would, of course, not be the last time that our feet would tread into Azeroth. But the brothers, the troubled brothers, would return. Now, Mike, it was many, many, many years later. I'm all grown up. I have been able to purchase my own computer. What the fuck? Wow. And I want to point out here, I bought a computer a while ago, so don't call me poor. That wasn't even in my head, but now I think that maybe you're poor. Because you brought it up, right? I wasn't going to say that, but like, you brought it up. You said you were like much older, you managed to get there. And I thought it was my time to return to World of Warcraft. The following sentence pains me very much to say. The two of us, and this is accurate, decided it was time to return to World of Warcraft during the Shadowlands expansion. Look, man, if you hadn't played since Wrath of the Lich King, and you had never done a dungeon or a raid, so you're practically a brand new character, Shadowlands was fine. Because you didn't know any better. You didn't know the hurt. You didn't know the pain. It's like You didn't know that perfect girl. You know the one. Her being in the room just lights up your life. Just her presence makes you smile. She's just amazing to be with. She makes you laugh. She makes you cry, but she makes you cry like in a way that you just love it. All those things. And then she became a heroin addict. And it just went right off the rails. And before you knew it, it was pajama pants in public with 2 odd Crocs on and a sports hoodie on. You didn't know before that. We did. We did. We did. Now, of course, as I had not played in many years, I didn't quite see what was wrong with Shadowlands. Yeah, exactly. And then I did start to find out, oh no, shit, maybe what I just said is completely wrong. The pain that Shadowlands brought to all of us is not forgotten as much as I wish it were. I would love to know, as a returning player, what you found problematic with it. I'd be really interested. But this part of the story is necessary for one specific reason. I need to introduce our protagonist of this tale, which was the guild Legless. When we returned to the game, we're not only older but wiser. By this time we had understood that by simply leveling, we had not yet participated in the true glory of the game. We knew what we wanted, and we were going to achieve it together. Datoshi and I were going to become raiders, like we had seen on those big streams. Of what caliber, we didn't know yet. But with studying, dedication, Datoshi hit Keystone Master in Season 1 and Season 2, with me not very far behind. You didn't do it together? Okay. We were taking WoW seriously. Locked in. Yeah? We would study dungeons, study the mob mechanics, coordinate with one another. As he is multiversed healer main, and I'm a brain-dead DPS player, mythic dungeons and that level of difficulty of PvE content made us aware of what awaited us. Of course, I'm speaking to you all of Castle Nathria. Oh god. Are you going to do Stone Legion Generals as your first ever raid? Fuck, that's grim. I think we might be heading straight for Stone Legion Generals Mythic as our very first raid. That's gonna hurt tomorrow. That's what that is. I don't want a daddy. Please no. All we needed, of course, was a guild. I can't recall how we went about finding a guild, but I'd imagine that we were wise enough not to go looking in trade chat. Through many a drama time, I know how much more of a mistake this would have been. Datoshi might have done the legwork himself, and much like most things, I, being the younger brother, benefited from his hard work, his lead, and I followed along. We joined Legless, a guild that, from what we could see, had a decent roster of seasoned, experienced players who had been playing the game for quite some time. The group was comprised of a number of incredibly helpful and very friendly people who would aid in our progression and assist us in clearing our very first heroic raid. Our raid leader. Having fun there, Chris? I glance over to double check that the names are correct from our audience in the original story to see Chris typing messages in while I'm trying to do my thing. Okay. Our raid leader, also worth noting, and guild leader, Frost, was an interesting lady who may have been easily stressed out. You know the type. But this was often overridden by the calm, soothing officers and raiders who like to keep things light and maintain the glory of the guild in the word casual, and not to take it too seriously. I didn't have an issue with it, until I finally did. During our time in Shadowlands, we cleared heroic Nathria. With how much ease, I cannot tell you. For one, I'm a DPS, and therefore did not pay attention. 2, this was the first guild I'd ever been in, and so I had no idea or point of reference when it came to how quick progress should be. Season 2 of Shadowlands reared its ugly head, because it arrived with a word that still haunts me to this day. And that word was Korthia. With Corthia's arrival, I was due to have my very first child. So it was time for me to step away from the game. Datoshi decided to stay with Legolas and Frost. Looking back now, playing the game started to feel like a chore. It did. But it was still new. It was still new. And I was enamored with the game overall and knew that I wasn't going to disappear forever. I explained to the members of Legolas and Frost that I was experiencing some big stuff IRL and that I needed to take a small break. Unsure how long that break would be for. I didn't intend to remain in the guild, but could have stayed there anyways. It didn't matter to me whether they kicked me or whatever. But Datoshi experienced a fate similar to mine. 1 year later, he was expecting his son and had to put down the game as well. While we navigated the challenges of becoming first-time papas, much like most things, Datoshi and I decided to brother it up in order to raise our children. So let's skip ahead. Our boys are growing up as humans tend to do. We have acclimated to life as being fathers, and maybe, just maybe, they're now old enough for us to start playing some WoW again. The two of us had gotten fed up with Shadowlands, like many others. We didn't know if the arrival of our respective children were the saviours of our souls, as we found out that Shadowlands didn't exactly get better after our departure. But then, the roar was heard through the clouds, and the dragons were coming. Here it was. We actually watched you experience the first of it, Mike. Datoshi was on me like a fly on shit, telling me all about how this was the fix. This was how we were going to make our return. It was going to be awesome. And it fucking was. Dragonflight was fucking awesome. Logging back into WoW for the first time in Shadowlands, we were met with great storytelling adventure, good zones, and yes, Legolas was still there. We had never been kicked, and we never left. We had only joined for Season 3 or whatever reason, but the following ensued. This was our time. We knew that we could start this season off at the same time as the rest of the guildies and one another. For the first time ever, we were on an even footing, and we were prepared. We would log religiously and sign for all the raiding that could be had. Datoshi's schedule allowed for much more game time than me, but that was fine. We pushed M+ together, pugged our way up to 2k rating and beyond. This was nothing like I'd ever experienced in the game. High stakes, intense gameplay, endgame rewards, esteem, acclaim, power, people inspecting us. Datoshi was like a sponge, a knowledge goblin, craving more and more, resulting in immense power. He ended up becoming one of the raid's top 2 healers, carrying the dead weight that I am about to introduce you to. Mikey, I have set you the scene. All listeners now know where we are. Welcome to the dance. One of the officers of the guild, Altered Carbon, a holy paladin main who plays at range. I think all our main holy paladins just died a little inside. Who played at range because he said that is how healers should be played. Okay. What, all of them? There's no room for any wiggle room there, eh? Became noticeable. I'm just sorry, I just threw up in my mouth a little bit. Who comfortably found himself regularly being healer less than the tanks. And I'm not talking about blood DKs. He was also starting to poach loot from the other plate wearers, me, for most of the season. He was so bad that eventually people started to ask questions. Politely at first. I'm just wondering, because you see what I see. So, why is Altered Carbon the way he is. More importantly, why is he still in the guild? And also, not to push any boundaries here, why is he an officer? Just curious, because, you know, it turns out, shockingly, that he is Frost's brother. A doctor IRL, which apparently made him smart at WoW. Yeah. Well, there you go. Now, when I heard that, I was somewhat convinced for a while that he needed a doctor for his head, but that is besides the point. As far as we could tell, the guild had achieved curve every season since we had last played in Shadowlands, but Season 3 of Dragonflight decided to highlight, if we're being polite yet again, some issues to Datoshi and I. Because now we're not fresh returning players. Now we've started to pay attention to certain things. And certain things were very easy to notice. Some issues that resulted in us becoming warier and warier of Frost and her leadership with each log of a raid night. It may have been, of course, Altered Carbon looting Biss plate gear that was not Biss for him, which definitely raised some eyebrows. Mine specifically, after whispering him in the pink and discovering he was rolling on off-spec gear, because in his words, and I remember this clear as day, he wanted to be as strong as possible in the open world content to prepare better for raids. Oh dear. I honestly, I don't know where to go if someone says something like that to me about anything at all. I'm just right. I don't know how to talk to you. I don't know the words. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to converse with you. If that's like a genuine thing that you're telling me, or if you're just a liar, I don't know. But I'm not sure where we go from here, because that's insanity. It may have been a specific officer telling the raid group that his game was bugged and only allowed him to need roll on items. That is fucking class. That is class. I like that. That's genius, right? Like, it's so fucking stupid. It's so stupid that you kind of like, I respect it. I kind of respect the balls to actively tell that to other people. There is a level of like, that's fucking I'd be like, turn the stream on. Share your Discord, right? Like, share your screen. Share your fucking screen. Like, show me that it's happening right now. Like, I would love to make that person dig deeper and deeper down the hole to try and get out of such bullshit. He would tell us he was trying to press the pass button, but it was grayed out. Surprisingly, this didn't ever prompt him to trade the loot with players who would have actually needed the items, and instead he just kept them. Nice. Now, as you can imagine, this kind of behavior didn't sit particularly well with me. But it also piqued my dissatisfaction when Altered Carbon managed to get the ever-elusive Firalath quest drop. This is the Farak axe, right? The first our guild had ever seen. That's the Farak axe, correct? The Lego axe? It is, right? And it's not... it is random drop. Can't be traded. I remember Mirez got the first one. Can it not be traded? Surely it can be traded. Or am I wrong on that? At that time it was rare, but was it not tradable? Yeah, mirrors and then fucking blue cubes. It's person specific. It can be traded. The mythic one you can trade. I assume they're not. Well, they're not doing mythic. Yeah, they're not doing mythic for Ak. Either way, so it seems like it reminds me of that Argus trinket. Jesus fuck, do you remember that thing? Fuck's sake. He got it. That's right. Our first ever legendary axe was going to a holy paladin. To me, this was the equivalent of seeing the world's nuclear launch codes dropped in the hands of a semi-delusional troglodyte. We, of course, though, didn't end raiding as a guild for that. We continued. We had members of a great skill and technique, of which I saw Datoshi and myself as, that would simply carry some of the other players through raid mechanics. And on we went to achieve curve. Two of these players would be Shoujo and Dr. Zenny. These fabled names are not to be forgotten by the listeners to this tale. All right. When the War Within arrived, we were excited, of course, once again. But it appeared as though we had a harder time clearing content despite having the same players. The same faces emerged when it came to clearing and carrying the raid and its mechanics, and similarly, we would see the same players not be able to tell their left from their right or their red from their blue. When going through the same repeated motions over and over and over and over again, this continued, and these issues that we saw had started to grate on me a lot. I was a dad. I had a lot going on, and I did not have all the time in the world, and I found myself having to log into raid evenings to re-progress bosses that we had already killed. I think it started to come to a head when we found out that some players didn't know how to tell what group they were in a raid. I can kind of forgive that. I can't remember whether WoW's UI defaults you to being like in a weird party setup situation. I always set it to be by group, but there is a setting where it changes it to like some other weird priority and doesn't show you your group number and shit like that. Like, it's not, there is some way of doing that, and I'm not sure if it's the default way of doing it, but there is a UI setting that orders your raid frames in some weird fucking way. Although you can just press O and open it, but whatever. We also had the players that you dealt with at the Race to World First. Well, not you specifically, but Roger Brown. Oh, what's he talking about? What was... It's during the Farak raid. What did Echo have to... What did we find out when Echo was doing their heroic splits that a lot of people just could not do? And they had to come up with a solution, which I think did... Well, clearly it did. Flying the fucking dragon. Dragon flying. Yeah. They just couldn't... They had to taxi people between the platforms because they couldn't fly their dragons. We found out that members of our raid couldn't dragon ride in the Dragonflight expansion. And we had to start marking them with raid markers and taxiing them across Tindrell's platforms. I wouldn't have minded week 1 too much, but 6 weeks into the raid, they still couldn't do it. Bruh. Do you think they can't do it, or they can't be arsed doing it at that point? I don't think anybody's saying dragon flying is for everyone, but you should be able to do it after 6 weeks. Even if you don't like it, you're like, okay, I have to go from platform to platform. That's not a big deal, right? Like, I could do this 20-second thing for no problem. Half and half? Yeah, maybe. At this point, I had endured more hours of Frost shouting at us for wiping than I could endure mentally. And when I hear of the red flags in drama time, I can only imagine they sounded not all too dissimilar to the following. Whenever we would lose our first player, about 50% of the time, it would be our raid leader Frost. Oh. This would result in some shot calling in the form of shouting at us to do more damage. Solved. Yeah, if one of your DPS dies, everybody else just start doing more damage. Because you all obviously always play at like 80% of your damage threshold, right? Because we're good raiders and we don't want to pull threat. But if someone dies, you can now do 100% of the damage that you're capable of. Do you know that moment we all intentionally like stop pressing some buttons for a few seconds? More dots. More dots. The other call, depending on the boss, if she died, she would call for an immediate wipe. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off. If I'm not playing, you're wiping, right? Fuck off, man. This was very, very frustrating, as you can imagine. We had already proved that we could easily kill these fights without everybody alive many times, and just her being dead was not a reason to wipe. If the mechanics were particularly difficult for the team to coordinate, she would make 2 of the DPS respec to healing. So we would have about 3 or 4 more DPS than healers total in the raid. Instead of trying to fix what the coordination issue was. I mean, did it work? I like fights that take 3 times longer than necessary. It's really fun. I want to give you a specific example. And the most memorable of these tales is when we had once progressed a boss on Heroic without her, and had her log to join us the following week. Her initial comment upon joining the raid was that it was laughable that we had only cleared as far as we did, as only then she died immediately on the fight. What made this different is that as she so clearly stated as she was dead, was that she would shot call clearly while being dead without having to worry about playing. These are the words she said, and I'm not lying to you, Mike, or listeners. She said, "I will shot call the fight as I'm down, basically like the 21st raid leader." What made it worse is about half a minute later, she said, "I don't understand what's happening from now on or what these mechanics are," followed by laughter because she said she hadn't watched the rest of the guide video. I'm getting like upset on your behalf. Because the reason I feel bad is that because you've never been in a different guild, you're probably still not sure if this is normal or not. Because you might have watched the Race to World first, but you're obviously not expecting that your heroic guild has an outside raid leader and a week or a team, and someone studying mechanics and reviewing VODs and all that kind of shit. So maybe you do think this is relatively normal, and you don't understand any different. Yeah, like any seasoned raider would be like, okay, I'm out of here. When would you have left? I always wonder when going through the drama stories, when would I have left the guild? It would have been during the first loot drama. Like, I would have been like, what are we doing here? So this is how you're doing it? I'm out of it. Yeah, I think it would have been the first loot drama that started to pop up with people yoinking loot and shit like that. I would have been like, nah, dude, I ain't doing that. I don't even care about loot that much, but I'm out of here at that point. If you're not going to play fair, then fuck that. I'm not here to get stepped on. That's not happening. Well, at least not in the raid. Anyway, as you'd imagine, I could describe this leadership style to you as suboptimal. Especially for a select few of us who didn't need the distraction when trying to advance an already challenging fight. Which fight was it? Was it Tindril still? This might have been the last straw for me. Raid nights were becoming a pain in the arse. The hard work I put into performing well was never rewarded with fair looting, which I didn't really care about as long as we were playing, nor credit for attendance and performance. Datoshi had been actively denied items a bunch of times by officers as they said his DPS is already so high, the loot would be better going to other people. Fuck off. Fuck off. Absolutely fuck off. Like, absolutely not. No, that is intolerable. And that is not the first time I've heard people saying that. That is intolerable. It's intolerable. I have heard that so many times over the years, especially in Classic era when I was coming through the ranks myself. Like, fucking nonsense. Yeah, like, we should even out everybody's damage by giving BIS items to terrible players. So their auto attacks eventually do enough damage to keep up with people. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? This was in addition to the bullshit looting of items where officers just rolled need because it was good for their off-spec. And as officers, they were going to attend every raid and maybe called upon to play off-specs. I don't think I ever saw any of them ever play an off-spec. This is my old vanilla raid leader, Mr. Mortimus. Mr. Mortimus, an infamous name amongst the EU Alakir server in particular. Mr. Mortimus, that was his logic. What was great about Mort is that when he had all the BIS items on his character, he would then bring his fresh alt and take all the BIS items on that as well, so that he could fill any role as necessary. Sick. Literally got the Transcendence helmet on his 4th alt before I got mine on my main priest, which I never got. Literally. I finally saw it drop. I was so happy as the only priest in the guild that didn't have full Transcendence and had no 3-piece. I think it's the 3-piece was the mana regen. It might have been 3 or 4, but I did not have that bonus and needed the helm. And Mort took it on his freshly dinged priest that was dead during the fight because it had no health. Yeah, that's when I left. Was he Greek? No, he was a Scouser. Or from Liverpool for you international friends. He was from Liverpool. He was Super Scouser is what he was. Morty. Anyway, explains everything. I mean, he was a fucking loot clown for sure, but he was a funny bastard. So I gave him some grace for that. He was funny as fuck. He was renowned on Alakir because he ganked the guy opening the gates of Arm Courage, who was a priest called Rapharon, as they were performing a very dramatic ceremony to bang the gong. It was funny. It was funny as fuck. It was really funny. They were like doing like the RP walk and shit, and like all the guild was surrounding him to like surrounding Rapharon to like open the gates on behalf of everyone else. And fucking Mort pops out with his Thunder Fury and wrecks him. Fucking vanishes and disappears. It was funny. Yeah, it was fucking funny. Anyway, let's go. Oh my god. My time being limited as it were, this whole thing was just making me pissed off. This was really sad as a whole, as always, and one of the reasons that so many people over the course of Drama Time have been dragged and trapped in this situation is most of the players were decent fucking people. They were funny, they were great to be around, and I enjoyed just being with them. But joining a Discord twice or 3 times a week and feeling too uncomfortable to speak out of fear of being shouted at for something just wasn't cutting it for me as a fun hobby anymore. This was on top of sometimes getting stuck and repeatedly dying to a boss that we had fucking already killed, simply due to a raid member or 5's inability to make the small incentive required to understand what was going on, and instead we would have to pray that they did not get those mechanics. Ah, classic. I just hope they don't get it. Mikey, I'm not being an elitist, I swear to you. I understand that not all WoW players are created equal, but if you sign up for a heroic raid 3 times a week, then for the love of fucking Christ, check what's going to happen. Especially if the guild's already killed it. It appeared, though, that I was not the only one who was reaching the end of one's rope. There were rumours of a bunch of players defecting. Starting our own guild. Namely, it was Shoujo and Dr. Zenny as our revolutionaries. Now, this was the early murmurings. Nothing had been set in stone, but at the same time, each raid night was encouraging some form of exodus in one way or another. The word and the rumours were growing. Another reason that this may have been appealing to say, Datoshi and myself, is that those players who were carrying the raid with their gameplay and execution were the ones that were getting frustrated. I know that the fight was tough, but I think that we spent 5 weeks on Brood Twister Ovanax. That's Worms, right? Is that Fat Worms with the eggs? Is that what she was called? Is that Fat Wormsy? Yeah, I mean, to give context to anybody who didn't do that, we pugged that with viewers week 2. We didn't do it week 1. We didn't have the damage, but week 2 we smashed it. Yeah, Worms, no good. I get it. A lot of people found that hard, but this, as hard as the fight might have been, is a fucking crime. For a guild that regularly clears heroic, 5 weeks on this boss is so stupid. Only 20% of the raid play as though they were real people. But as the fight proves... played as if they were garbage. But as the fight proves, if a mechanic falls on you and you're... Oh, they're not going to the eggs. They're not going to the eggs. That's what's happening. They're going to the wrong eggs. They're popping all sorts of shit. There's fucking 9 fucking giant spiders coming out and all them. I mean, to be fair, that fight is annoying for the marker, which I had to do. That was a total pain in the ass to sort out. I had to make macros and all sorts of shit to do it. Pop everything. Pop it all. Pop it all. We did, in fact, kill the boss eventually, but the struggle that ended up being was enough to me consider the end. I knew it was just a matter of time. Marker boy? Well, fucking Ravenspire and Joel wouldn't do it, slackers. A few weeks elapsed, and we had progged our way through just about the entire raid, repeatedly, to get to Silken Court. Oh, no. This was too much. This fight was way too much for a few specific players. This is where the Legless would come to an end. Really? What are you struggling with? If you can do Brood Twister, you can do Silken Court, right? Dispels? I mean, you just stand on the marker. Like, I don't get how you can get that wrong. It doesn't even have a lot of health on Heroic. You can burn it. Like, you can burn that fight down to the fucking ground, like, so quickly. I get it, but you can pre-assign on Heroic the people to do the webs, so that's not a thing. It sounds like my guild. I mean, yeah, there's not that much to do there besides the last phase. With what DPS? True, actually. Mike and listeners, this was our moment. Like, the webs? Where's Nahe? Fucking clear the webs, slacker. This was our moment. This was our chance to escape. I'd already spoken to my brother a number of times and explained that this was becoming too much. I'm quite frankly someone who speaks his mind and airs issues when they arise. I'm too old to have time to pussyfoot around. This group had a lot of issues that needed resolving, and I wasn't going to be the one to fix them. The whole thing was that Datoshi and I wanted to play together. I didn't want to strip him of his ability to play with this group if he'd wanted to. Loyalty. But he already knew that if he didn't feel the need to leave, then I wouldn't be joining him anymore. Datoshi, on the other hand, is not only someone that wants to please others and solve issues by nature, he is scarily loyal. His degeneracy and spiral into WoW madness meant he had numerous characters filling the guild, and a host of the roster was sitting on his login screen. I wasn't quite sure why, but my man had managed to have 4 or 5 fully geared alts of the same class in a heroic guild. My man is fucking quad boxing. He's quad boxing for heroic. Legend. Legend. I believe that this is an attempt to continue to play with his little brother, being me, as he had maxed out all his characters in game time when I wasn't present, only then to create or gear new characters when I knocked on the proverbial door wanting to play some games together. On a particularly frustrating night, a bunch of Legless roster had had enough. We decided to not be douchebags. Instead, we each sent a message respectfully to Frost and decided to leave. With the exception of just one of the players, Dr. Zenny. He was a seasoned veteran who had known his way around the game for many years. He also liked to speak his mind and have his say on how he thought things were going. He's a very direct person and means well, and with how things had been going, we knew it was only a matter of time before a confrontation took place between him and Frost, the guild leader of Legless. Now, Frost didn't like it very much, and Dr. Zenny's tendencies to be brash and vocal conflicted with her screaming leadership style. Screaming leadership style. The exact message is not in my brain, but it was long. It was long. He explained in excruciating detail how she had been one of the central problems of the guild, and her inaction. Let this be a lesson to any prospective guild leaders. Inaction is as dangerous as action. Her inaction had caused this frustration to reach a boiling point. As he decided, and as his departure from the guild happened, soon to be followed by me, he followed it up with this. I cannot sit around wanking for 15 minutes before every pull. There are a select few officers who simply do whatever they fuck they like in this guild, and ultimately aren't cut out for heroic raiding. If we aren't prepared to address the issues in this guild, how can we expect to move forward and clear bosses? There was a whole lot more to it, but things were not left amicably between the two of them. So, the heroes moved on to their new guild and arose like a phoenix from the ashes. We say hello and we arise to Expedition 33. The cream of the crop, the best of the best from Legless. Shoujo was to lead this motley crew. Shoujo was our #1 DPS player in Legless. He had always wanted to make this perfect elite group. And while he admittedly enjoyed his time with Legless, he explained to Frost upon his departure that he yearned. He yearned for more, and felt the need for change, and felt the need for growth in his WoW experience. Second in command, our new raid leader, Dr. Zenny. He'd already proved to himself and us that he had what it took to take on a leadership role, and his clear communication led us to feel as though we could address any issue we had, there and then, directly and quickly. Hash it out as adults. We split off. We formed the group of peak performers. Upon defecting from Legless, we had around 15 members that would show regular for raid night. And in the first 2 weeks of the guild formation, Heroic Ansurek hit the floor. We had done what we set out to do. We achieved curve almost immediately. We had, of course, hiccups, but this was done with relative ease and handled. And when comparing to the torture that was raiding with Legless. Insider information always happens after a guild split, and it showed that Legless continued on. They did not stop. They pushed into Heroic Ansurek and would fail. It was about 2 or 3 weeks away from the end of season. Their first clearance of the Silken Court, which is the point where most of the group defected, was done with the assistance of some mythic raiders, friends of one of the experienced raiders of Legless. But Ansurek was too much. Those pesky mechanics, falling on 1 or 2 players, could be attributed to their downfall. As Datoshi, Dr. Zenny, Shoujo and myself had all been there before, knowing that the difference between telling left from right meant another wipe. All based... I mean, to be fair, who can remember which platform they're going to on Ansurek? Huh? Hands up if you've bent to the wrong one sometimes. Ah? I mean, I did once, but I did make it to the other side. There are 2. Never left. I'm always left. I'm always left. Look at you. There are platforms. Yeah. Left, which side? Fucking pain in the ass. Left gang rise, baby. Left gang. You're not supposed to be here. Fuck. Oh, fuck. Scatter. Yeah. Scatter. Hey, there's nothing worse than when a raid leader tells you you're doing something different after like 15 pulls or something. You're like, wait, what? I'm going right now? Oh my god. I don't think my brain can process this information. As Legless was struggling to clear what was their biggest hurdle, and this meant that they may not have achieved curve for the first time in literally years, our guild leader extended a helping hand. Do you want us to help? Because we don't want to see you not get curve. What do you think happened? Your defectors reach out and say, do you want us to help you get curve? Because we will. If you want us to come and help you do it, so that you don't fall. I mean, what do you, ew. I mean, there is like a grossness to it. I'd be like, go fuck yourselves. No, it's fine. Fuck off, traitors. Is it ego to say no to the players that left you because they're saying, you know, because of issues? Pride. Is it pride, or is it like, bro, like, we don't, it's a pity help, right? That's the thing. It's a pity help. Frost welcomed this offer for the sake of her players to get their curve. She only asked for one caveat. Dr. Zenny, her formerly loyal officer and now raid leader over there, she didn't want him in the raid. This was met well with Shoujo. He stated that it was either... oh, no. This was not met well by Shoujo. He replied, it's either all of us or none of us. Dude. Really? I think that's unfair, man. Yeah, I don't think that's just like twisting the knife and like making demands unnecessarily. It's such a simple ask. It's like, no, this was like a really good friend of mine who left and maybe said some horrible words to me as he left. I don't think she's a choosy beggar at all. She didn't ask. I don't think she asked. The wording here is that they approached her to say, do you want us to come and help you get this? Because we can see you're not going to do it. So I don't think she's being a choosy beggar at all. They came to her. She said, yeah, I just, you know, I'd prefer it if he wasn't there. I kind of on her side with this one. At this stage, the raid was on for Legless. And Mr. Datoshi had as many characters in the server as Genghis Khan had relatives. Datoshi messaged me and asked me if we're going to go and give Legless a hand with another attempt at Ansarek. This didn't sit right with me, and I decided to check with Shoujo to see what he had to say with all this whole situation. Shoujo said he doesn't have a problem with players making their own decisions about something like this, and encouraged everyone with whatever they decided to do. If you want to go, go. If you don't want to go, don't. But in this instance, he explained to me that he felt as though he either needed to support the wishes of a few guild members or stand up for one of them, Dr. Zenny. Dr. Zenny was clearly not welcome to raid with Legless, and Shoujo knew that if he were to join, that it would be a slight against Dr. Zenny. Why did you guys get yourself into this fucking situation? I don't understand why you put yourself in this situation. Why? Why? For what purpose did you just decide to, like, throw spaghetti at the wall and smash the plate? Like, for what possible purpose? After this conversation with Shoujo, he uncovered the sense of my unease. He nailed it on the head. I didn't want to go and help the group that had burned me in the past. I didn't like them. That's fair. My only issue is, I don't fucking like you. Not while it went against the integral foundation upon which our new and improved guild was built or anything. I explained to Datoshi that I wasn't going to go ahead and assist. And instead, I'm just going to pass. I asked him if he had got anyone else's thoughts on the matter, and he admitted to not even thinking this far. No big deal. You guys are treating this very seriously for helping some guys do Ansarek. This is like a test of one's loyalty. It's a test of, like, pride and what is good and right in the world and all this kind of... It's very, very, like... It's a video game, guys. We're killing a raid boss in a video game. It's fine. It's totally fine. It's not that big of a deal. I continued to grind for some mounts or do whatever mindless thing it was at the time. And about an hour later, Datoshi had come back to me on Discord and wanted to run some M+ keys together. We did just that, and I gave the whole situation no further thought. Not much longer after that, though, in the Expedition 33 Discord, we received a surprising message from my brother. He was asking if we wanted to bleed our eyes out on a POV of a stream that he'd recorded recently. The officer chat was piqued with interest, and we all decided to check out what Datoshi was talking about. Only to find one of his many characters that had remained in Legless trying their best to kill Ansarek. This came as a surprise to us, in Expedition 33, as we had thought that everyone had decided against helping Legless. It appeared, though, that this man that I call my brother, with all of his characters, had kept one of his characters in Legless. He had ultimately been in both guilds simultaneously and had been attempting to help them clear Ansarek on Heroic, as we weren't really raiding at the time other than a quick farm. Knowing that they still had not cleared it, this sparked a bunch of banter and jokes directed directly at my brother. I don't see the problem. It's not a traitor. One of which he was given a new title in the guild, the Oathbreaker. He had seemingly single-handedly continued his quest to help Legless in their never-ending journey to kill Queen Ansarek, all the while doing the exact same thing for our guild. Datoshi took this like a champ, though. He didn't give a fuck. Oh, I don't agree with this. He had no other choice than to laugh at himself and acknowledge not only how this looked, but how much of a mistake it was to return to the source of the infection. He said that on that specific night, he could only manage an hour of repeated head bashing before making an excuse to leave and deciding he was never going back again. I don't see what he's done wrong. I get it as a joke, like you fucking traitor and all that shit. I totally get that. But I hope nobody's taking it seriously. Like, how dare you go and play with them again? Like, what the fuck? Play with whoever you want. You guys aren't even doing anything. As of right now, we're approaching Season 2 of The War Within, and our guild is stronger than ever and re-clearing Heroic Nerebar Palace, with the intent of gearing up some of our newer recruits and giving them a feel for our welcoming yet actually competitive raid environment. We're vetting players and assembling a roster for the Undermine, and there's a part of me that wants to log into my brother's account just to double check that he's moved all of his characters outside of Legless. Why? Why? I don't why? What does it matter? The officers of the guild, myself included, still make fun of our previous guild, but more so have our sights set on what we're going to do next and being better than ever before, and maybe moving up to Mythic. One thing I do know, that is, the Honourable Datoshi, loyal above all, will now permanently have the title of Oathbreaker, Kingslayer, and Man Without Honour? Due to his efforts to help our enemies succeed. I am reading it as more sarcastic than actually, like, we're pissed at him. No, I think they're joking at him. I'm reading it as more of, like, they're taking the piss out of him for raiding with the shitters. But I like this guy. He's like, fuck it, man. I had fun there. I'm going to raid with them. I mean, we've all done it. Most of us have probably done it. Mikey, what does your audience think? Is he the Oathbreaker? Is he the Kingslayer? Is he a man without honor? Or is he just a good guy helping friends out? And also, follow Mike's advice. Oh, shit. If you find yourself in a guild that doesn't work for you, get out while you can. Big true. Always do that. I think your bro is actually a bro. Your bro's a bro. Like, yeah, sure, it's shitty over there, but I mean, he wants to do some raiding. There's something to achieve over there. He wants to be there for their first kill. I like your bro a lot. I think your bro's alright. He's got the free time. He's not impeding your own guild. If he was, like, ditching your guild's raids to go and raid with them, then you've got a problem, right? If he's ditching and he's secretly playing an ult. But your bro is a fucking bro, and I high-five him to the ends of time. Good story. I like it. I like that journey, and everyone can make up their own mind of what they're going to do. Standard guy doesn't play in 3 guilds. Pussy. What are you, a casual? Big up Datoshi. Big ups to Datoshi. Ladies and gents, that brings the end of drama for today and the stream for the weekend. Yeah. I finally get to see my wife and kids tomorrow, so I'm pretty excited for it. I haven't seen them for more than an hour since I left last Saturday. So it's been a week without them. So I'm looking forward to seeing them tomorrow. I'm very, very, very hyped to see my boys and spend some time with them. And I have a home PC, which maybe I'll even get to set up this weekend. So a wonderful weekend. We'll be back on Monday. We'll be finishing up Deus Ex. We're probably going to be finishing that Monday, more than likely. And then hopefully I will speak with our good lady Jordan, Valheim, the War of the Swamps. Scufftropolis is waiting for us. So hopefully we'll get that going. If not, maybe some Doom or something like that. Needless to say, lots of fun things happening next week, and I hope to see you. Be wonderful. Be good. Bye-bye.